when did you fall in love with like women in hip hop?
And that song that you just heard was Pocket Rocket by Slimeroni, our girl. And I actually found this song on
Mhm.
TikTok
Okay.
because she had come up on my TikTok and I didn't realize that she had dropped a new song. And I don't know what y'all think about it, but I love this song. Like,
Downloaded
just
immediately,
she did. I just
actually.
like she ate that shit up. Like
Yes.
I was like, okay,
Yeah, I was just watching the video. I was like,
like I didn't
what?
know she'd be like going in like this. Like I feel like I've only heard her in the context of like our Black Girl in Sync. Like I've
Right.
never heard any of her like solo music, so I had no idea.
Same. No, I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, oop, this is a bop.
It truly is. Truly was a bob. Camille, what did you think about it?
Also immediately was downloading.
Love.
When the bop is bopping, it's just very easy. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you hear it and you just know.
That's that's
Right.
going in the library.
Got
You
it.
don't want to hear
Got
that
it.
again. Yeah.
I feel like sometimes with the songs that we do on Where My Girls at like the intro songs, some of them I'm like immediately I know I don't like this. Or
Yeah.
immediately
Yes.
or immediately like download. Like I feel like we have those two extremes. I
Mhm.
don't think we really do very often songs that are like in between, like where maybe like I kind of feel like we just go to
We
the
have strong
extreme.
feelings. Yeah, I was like, we have strong
Very
feelings
strong
either
feelings.
way.
And I think it's very very good that we're doing this episode because Camille, also a person with very strong feelings.
I was gonna say, I think I'm gonna fit in just
I think you're gonna fit in perfectly here. Guys, hello everybody. We have a very, very special episode. We have another crossover episode of Where My Girls At. So if you listen to Where My Girls At, you know, or if you don't listen to Where My Girls At, you don't know, but our podcast is a podcast about Black women in hip hop. And Does It Hold Up? And if you don't listen to Does It Hold Up, our podcast is about celebrating pretty much all of Black culture. Like we talk about all of the Black movies and TV shows that you love, but honestly, we also talk about albums that are canon in like Black culture, and we talk about a lot of like Black culture, Black pop cultural moments on Does It Hold Up? But we wanted to bring together our host of those podcasts, Camille and Bree, and we're missing Lyndon, but of course she's here with us in spirit. We love her. But we wanted to bring together all of us to talk about some very, I think, formative albums and interesting like moments in female rap over the decades because like we said many, many times on Does It Hold Up? I'm sorry. Oops, look, I'm already messing up. Like we said many, many times on Where My Girls At, it is the 50th anniversary of hip hop. This is the 50th anniversary year. And so June, as we know, is Black Music Month. And so we thought what better way to like ring in Black Music Month than to bring together these two podcasts that celebrate Black culture as a part of our brand Textured Heir and just really talk about like definitive albums in like Black female rap culture from like every decade really of hip hop so far. And so that's what we're doing in as a way to celebrate Black Music Month, and I'm really excited and I'm really happy to have you both here. But before we do that, like we always do, how's it going, guys? What's up? Are you listening to anything new? Did everybody see The Little Mermaid? Did everybody watch Succession? Let's talk about it.
No spoilers on Succession. I've been scrolling it up.
Fair.
But
Fair.
I do want to see The Little Mermaid. That's on my list of movies that I gotta go see in theaters. But no, things are good. I need to listen to Summer Walker's album too. That's also on my like queue list of things to listen /
Do you
watch.
have strong feelings about Summer Walker?
I enjoy her. I like her music. I think her last couple of albums, like Over It, Still Over It, were really great albums. So I'm interested to hear what is on this new album, and I also need to watch the Carisha episode too. I feel like
Yes!
they need
Okay.
to pair in sync as well.
I was going to talk about the Carisha Please episode, but you haven't seen it, so that's fine. Have you seen it, Camille? The Carisha Please
I have
episode?
seen it. Yes, I
Okay.
have.
Was it good?
Yes. I actually really like the album as well. Like,
Mm.
you could say a lot about Summer Walker, and let me tell you, I said it. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie. But you can never say she's untalented. You can never say she can't write.
100%.
Those words have never come out of my mouth.
Yeah.
What I love about her, what I'm starting to love about her, is just how honest she is. Like, honest enough to be like, yeah, I said that stupid shit before, and it was wrong. And to owning that, which I really can always appreciate about her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've always felt like, I don't know what it is, but Summer Walker just doesn't seem like my vibe.
Okay.
You know, like, I've enjoyed some of the songs, but I've never, like, gone out of my way to listen to, like, the full albums of Summer Walker's. Because I was just like, I don't know what it is about her music, but it just doesn't feel like me. You know? But people have been saying, like, they like this, and then I think it's been a real polarizing, like project, because some people have been saying they hate it.
I have a theory about that. I think Miss Girl is having some growth.
Mhm.
But I think her fans who are not liking the album are not in a place yet where they're ready.
Yeah.
But I like it. There's some themes about like generational, just getting like weird bad advice from your mamas and your aunties.
Yep.
And then like being a woman yourself and having to like sort through that and figure out what's real and what's not, which I think that's very relatable. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. And like I said, I kind of like you. I'm not really I don't always go out of my way to listen to Summer Walker.
Yeah, that's interesting. I love that. The Little Mermaid was fire.
Oh, you saw it? Okay.
Oh, I saw it on Friday night. We got high as hell and went to the theater, and we saw that shit in 3 fucking D. All I have to say is, I mean, there's no way to spoil it because it's The Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
There was something about it. There was like a moment when I was in the theater, like, oh my God, like this Black woman is really Ariel. And it just like, it really floored me. Like, I felt so warm and like cozy and very warm and fuzzy watching it, because like, one, she's just phenomenal in the role, and I think it's like, it was perfectly cast, but I don't know, it was just like very beautiful to watch. I think overall it just made me feel like very warm and very fuzzy, and I just loved it. Like, I just had such a shocking, like, oh my God, I can't believe this is real time in the theater, like watching it. Like, it just hit me like, this is crazy.
That's so nice. I feel like, that's not healing, but like affirming for the little Black girl that you were growing up, right? And it's so cool that I think that a lot of little Black girls now get to experience a lot more exposure, and it's more normal to see themselves on screen, from dolls to coloring books, like all the things. So I think this is like such a, like you said, like a warm, fuzzy feeling of like, really we did it, Joe. Like,
we did it, Joe. It was really great. I really loved that. What about you, Camille?
Oh my gosh, I love that. I have to go see. I love that too. That it's just like The Little Mermaid. It's not like, here's the Black Little Mermaid, or like
True,
the new version. Like they've been marketing it as like, this is the Little Mermaid, and this
period.
Is fuck up, Mariah.
Sorry.
But yeah, so what have I been listening to? What I've been watching. I did watch Succession. I did tune in. So there's that. But
we'll save it. We'll save it. Because we don't want to spoil it for you. But I will say, not surprised. But I don't want to spoil it for you. Don't want to spoil it for you.
Things went the way that I thought it would.
Yep.
I've been listening to the Kate Meaning album a lot.
Ooh, what do you think
I gotta
of it?
listen to that.
Yes. Okay. So I'm loving this conversation because first listen, I was not disappointed. I think I was just surprised. It was just different than what I thought. I had an idea in my head of like, I know what Kate songs sound like. Right. I know what Amine sounds like on dance songs, because he has songs with like Disclosure and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I kind of was expecting them to like meld that together, and instead they did like a totally different thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So is it very summery?
I think so. After the first listen, I was like, oh, just because I was surprised. And then the second listen, I said, oh, I love this.
Okay.
So I've just been playing it. I'm a really big fan of Miss I think you say it's Amare. Is that how we pronounce it?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know how you pronounce that.
I don't know how you pronounce it, but Miss Girl on every song that she's on is a star. Like I am so I don't know where she came from. I don't know where I first heard her, but then one day I was like,
I don't either.
Looking at my songs, and I was like, oh, I really
you fuck with her.
Girl.
You fuck with her.
And I think the song that she is on the K-Trina album is the best song on the album.
Okay. I listened to it only once. And I was like, okay, this is interesting, you know? Because I've only recently gotten into K-Trina.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, this is interesting because I like Amine and I do like what K-Trina does. I kind of, like you, Camille, went in with like an idea of what I thought it was going to sound like with them melding those sounds together, and it kind of, I'm not gonna say disappointed me. It just surprised me. So I think I'll go back. I'm gonna obviously go back and give it another listen because I do think it's like really great, like summery, perfect summertime music. But overall I was just like, this is interesting, a little bit different than I thought.
It sounds like K-Trina really wants to work with more rappers. I think I read an interview once where he was saying that like a lot of rappers have turned down his beats.
Why?
Because they just, you know, it's a little too advanced.
Too advanced.
For some of them niggas.
Yeah, right. You know, we be switching up the time signature. We be swinging the groove a little bit.
Yeah. But I love that.
I love it. And I think this album sounds like, you know, I can do this. Like, people can rap over these beats. Like,
they can. Yeah, and good for him. Okay, so let's get into some hot topics. Girl, Mona Leo had her baby. Finally
popped.
She had her baby. That lady has been looking pregnant as hell since she announced the pregnancy. And good for her. But she had a little baby boy and she gave birth at home. She had like a natural home birth.
I did see the video.
I did see that. I was like, more power to her.
Because baby, couldn't be me. Couldn't
the drugs.
be me.
The drugs.
I would ask for him as soon as I felt like a contraction. I would say, "Load me up." I don't want to feel shit.
I actually work with a girl who told me that her sister has a tradition that when they're on the way, like when she's on the way to give birth, she asks for a blunt because at that point, think about it. At that point, what damage can you really do?
Oh my God, it's already done. It's already done.
She's like, give me my blunts. Let me get my mind right.
Oh my God.
I love that.
Shit, if I ever have a baby, I might have to do that.
That is a wild, but no, she looks happy though. Kind of jumping a little bit, like she did a music video right before she gave birth for
crazy to me.
Wig Splitter. Yeah, I was like, girl,
sit your ass down.
Like, go sit down and eat some Cheez-Its. Like,
you be on bed rest, girl, not on go time. Like,
right.
You are pregnant and about to pop, and you're gonna do a fucking music video.
They were like, we need it now. We need it now.
But you know what? Good for her. Okay.
Wait, can y'all tell me? Because my old ass, you know, I'm getting up there. Who is this man? Who's stunner number 4 Vegas?
So
good question.
He's like
I don't know.
He's one of the baby's artists.
See, that's why I don't know.
And he had like a run, I want to say in like 2019. And he had like a couple of songs with like what's his name? Black Youngsta or something like that.
Yes, I remember that.
And the baby, obviously. So like he had like a run in 2019, I feel like, but I haven't heard anything new recently.
No.
Okay.
No.
Happy for them.
Yeah.
They seem happy though.
So. They seem happy. But that's all I'll say on that.
That's that on that.
I'm gonna keep it very positive. Okay, so Megan Thee Stallion got 2 wax figures at Madame Tussauds in Vegas. And can we talk about how they are just like getting it right finally? Because these fucking wax figures,
they're too good.
They are too good. Got the nails right, got the weave right, got the ass right. Like everything is looking right on her wax figures. And that just, to me, like, I don't know what it is about that. I feel like it just cements her like status. You know, her celebrity, like superstar status, that they did your wax figure right. Okay. Yeah. And didn't give you like a fucked up one first. Because remember those Beyonce wax figures back in the day? Yes. Ooh, I don't know who the fuck that was supposed to be.
Yeah. No, she looked good. She looked good, and I enjoyed seeing the Twitter reactions to her as well. And they were like, Meg, every time she finds out she's a celebrity again, and she's like,
super duper shocked. Like, what's this? Who's this?
she's like, what?
What's going on? Have no idea. Having no idea.
No, but it looks good.
Yeah, this next thing, it kind of was like so petty, but I want to talk about it because I think it's like we just have to talk about this. So Maya the Don was like caught a bit of heat after on an IG live after saying she would like a feature from Cardi B over Nicki. And so obviously like people started going in on her like, oh my God, like that's not what you're supposed to say. You're supposed to be like, oh, you know, they're both great, they're both this and that. I think we need to put this to rest. It's time to let this shit the fuck go. Nicki has beefed with like 8 other people since Cardi B. I feel like that's not even her biggest beef at the moment. You know what I mean? And I just think like it didn't matter what she would have said on that live, somebody would have been mad at her. And I just think we gotta let that shit go where we're trying to get every rap girl to like choose a side between these two women. When I feel like there are more factions than that, even than Cardi B versus Nicki Minaj. Like these women, I just feel like they're in completely different worlds at this point in their careers, and we gotta let this shit go because it's irritating at this point, you know.
Yeah, no, it's really Nicki versus the world, right? And like, but also
Nicki and the Barbs versus the world.
The world.
Now, be careful because we do have a Barb here. Just so you know. Camille, old school. Don't you dare.
You know, I don't know if I would really call myself, I can't officially identify as a Barb. I feel like I'm maybe like a liaison to the Barbs. I feel like you know, if the Barbs had their own reality show, I would be a friend of.
Oh, friend of.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Retired
you
Barb.
know, just a lot of the Barbs that I know personally have been very kind and sweet to me.
Yeah.
You know,
and then they get on the internet and start licking people's social security numbers.
And and then when it comes to that, you know, that's why I can't, like, I'm not doing that.
Right. No.
But do I get into a very spirited, verbal debate every now and then? Surely. I can't say I don't.
I feel like I used to, but I can't anymore. But what do you guys think about this?
I mean, it's just, at this point, anyone doing it, like, did she say, was it like exact quote, like, I'd rather have, or did she just
I think she read it. I think she read it out loud and then she said Cardi. Like, so she read the question out loud and so then she said Cardi. And so then, of course, that obviously, like, ignites the Barb. Like, how dare you? You'll never be shit. How dare
also,
you
people
go
can have
Queen?
Preferences. People can have preferences.
Yeah. Because they're both from the Bronx. Like, Cardi and Maya are both from the Bronx. So I get it. They have, like, a very similar flavor to them. You know? In a way.
Yeah, I just think, like you said, these two women are not, I don't even think they're their biggest issue at the moment. They got these kids to feed and raise.
It's too many of kids.
Did you see Culture's lunches?
Child, she be eating good.
Cardi is busy.
Cardi is very busy.
She's making dino nuggets, cutting oranges. Did you see that baby's food? They said she'd be passed out on the playground every since.
And you know what?
I bet she is.
That's how you're supposed to be, okay? You eating good. That's how you know you eating good.
But they are just, first of all, it doesn't matter. Nicki's not doing the song with Maya the Don because Nicki wants numbers right now. That's why she's doing songs with people like Kim Petras and anyone else who's had a number one song this year. You know?
Yeah, and I just don't think Maya's on the level to get a feature from either one of them at this point.
Not yet.
No, but you know what? I love that she's dreaming big.
As you should. You gotta manifest with the shit that you want in your life.
100%.
Okay, so Lil' Kim was on a special cover of Double XL, because obviously, like I said, it's the 50th anniversary of hip hop, and they're doing everything they can to celebrate hip hop like icons. And she said that her book, the book that was supposed to drop like 2 or 3 years ago, is coming, and a documentary are coming soon. Now, what does soon mean? I don't know, but personally, I feel like Lil' Kim just has tea to spill. Like, if anybody has tea about the industry in the 90s and the early 2000s, it's Lil' Kim. And I feel like what does she have to lose at this point to to like not spill that shit. Like what like I feel like you should just tell it all. Like I want this to really be a tell all. Like we need somebody to shake this shit up again. And I think she could do it with her stories.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely interested. I'm also curious to know who's probably helping her write as well. Like who's going to help tell the story. Like I'm sure she has the ideas and things she wants to say, but who's going to really who's going to thread the needle here and like pull it all together?
Yeah. Like, you know, she's a ghostwriter for a book. Like everybody does when they do these tell-all books.
Yeah.
They always have ghostwriters, as they should.
Yeah. Oh, please, begging you.
Please.
Some of y'all need ghostwriters. I'm so excited. There is just no way that Sean Combs comes out of this unscathed.
And that's what I'm thinking about. Exactly. That is what I was thinking about. That is the first person who came to mind.
Because, well, my gears are already turning. Because, you know, apparently she has been writing this book. It was supposed to come out a little while ago.
Yep.
I think it is no coincidence that he has put himself back in our faces. He's dating Carisha. He's having fun. I think that he knows. There's gonna be some shit.
There's gonna be some explosive shit.
I am excited.
And you know what? Conspiracy theory. What if he was the one who blocked it? Because this book was supposed to come out several years ago. What if he blocked it?
I wouldn't put it past him.
What if he blocked it?
It probably went through a rewrite.
I'm just saying shit at the top of my head. But I just think like
while we're saying shit, I think that Jason Lee and Diddy are involved in a romantic. While we're just saying stuff.
What?
Can you elaborate?
Yeah, I was like, I would like to know more. Where do you get this inkling?
Well, I was watching Jason Lee's horrible show because Chloe, for some reason.
Why did she go on that show?
I don't know. Why does she do a lot of things? But
That's a good question.
She was on that Jason Lee show, giving him his time of day, and he was just getting on my nerves. And then I was upset. Now I'm telling tales. But then I remembered how a couple years ago, do you remember a couple years ago that it was like this neo soul singer Jaguar had came out, and she just was like, she made this long video basically giving the tea on anyone who was big in hip hop or neo soul in the like 90s, early 2000s. Mainly she came on here to talk about that rat, Talib Kweli.
Yep.
And spill his tea. And she said, and while I'm at it, she was, I was exiled from the like neo soul community, and I know this about this person, that person. But one of the things she said was that Christopher Williams of the song "Don't Wake Me, I'm Dreaming," if you're familiar.
I remember. More famously of the Pillow Talk episode of Real Housewives of Atlanta. More famous than that.
Jaguar said that she walked into Diddy's office once and saw Christopher Williams giving that Gog 3000 to Diddy, right?
And you want to know what? It all tracks because they were all working at Uptown Records.
Exactly. And I just feel like Jason Lee, Christopher Williams, and not to incriminate Albie Shore, but what is going on there? We've never understood, like, why Diddy just raised Albie Shore's son like that?
I don't get it. Like, what's the whole thing with him raising that kid?
Well, I don't know. Those three men just have a very similar aesthetic, if you ask me.
You think they all fucking?
It's given I've got a type. And I just don't understand. I just don't understand another reason to validate Jason Lee by giving him a show on Revolt. Like, he's just not.
I did not know that show was on Revolt, but that kind of makes sense.
Did was he with Kim? Yes,
that's him. That's him and Kim's son.
Right,
the light skin one. That's him and Kim's son. But why? But why has Diddy raised him like his daddy is not fully alive and well?
That is so
and
true.
Also, I'll be sure. Like, I don't think this nigga is broke.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just what I think.
This is quite interesting.
I'm just a guest.
We don't
just sprinkle some conspiracies.
We love a little bit of conspiracy. Okay,
I do.
This is all alleged. And that's all we can say. It might be true. I think just wait until the album comes out. Let's talk about Coi Leray. Her second album, Coi, is dropping next month, June 23rd. And Lola Brooke is featured on it, Saucy Santana, Giggs, James Brown. What is the David Guetta, and then who is Skilling being that Caribbean guy? I don't really listen to his music, but I have to say I am actually excited about this Coi Leray album because I feel like she has evolved and changed so much as an artist since she first released that first album. And really with every release, I think she's just getting better as an artist. And I actually like her music now. Like I enjoy the work that she's putting out, and I'm kind of really excited about this album, and I think we might have a Song of the Summer contender on.
Ooh, you think so?
I do.
Okay.
I do. What do you think about that?
I'm trying to think. Okay, yeah, because I was like, the last album, or the album that you released before this, I remember we said it was way too long.
Yeah.
And it looks like she was able to cut this down a bit, so I'm excited about that. But she looks good. She looks good. The songs that are featured on here, like Players, Bops, I already like. So
I like Bops, yes.
Yeah, so I'm already excited. But I think this will be a good sophomore album for her to be able to say like, hey, like I can kind of submit myself in my own lane here in the rap industry. So I'm curious to see what it will come out. I don't know about Song of the Summer though. I don't know.
Okay, but we shall see. What about you, Camille? What do you think?
I'm actually really excited too. I like Coi Leray. There's several songs by her that I really enjoy. My only thing that makes me nervous is I think once you get a taste of that TikTok, whatever it is, you can't like, or whoever's behind you can't help but try and do it again. Like, you can't help but try and make it again. So I'm really hoping it's not full of just like very obvious attempts at TikTok success. But other than that, like, I'm really excited.
Very. Other things. The Barbie soundtrack was announced. Callie, and you know what? Shout out to Callie. Shout out to Callie.
Yes.
I said it was gonna be a big year for her. And I'm so glad that I said that when I did. Callie is on the Barbie soundtrack. Ice Spice is on the Barbie soundtrack. And Nicki Minaj are on the Barbie soundtrack. Now, there are more Barbie. It says more Barbies and Kens to be announced. And it's produced by Mark Ronson. So, I mean, who knows what that could mean? Like, there could be more people on the soundtrack. But, yeah, it looks like Nicki and Ice Spice have another collab coming on the Barbie soundtrack. And it's like, of course. Like, I don't understand how you can't release a Barbie movie and not have a song by Nicki Minaj on it. Like, it just doesn't track.
Of course.
It doesn't track. It doesn't make sense. But deeply excited about that and I'm very happy for Callie.
Same. I think this will be really good for her to continue to launch her ahead this year for being like an up and coming artist. I'm also excited. Lizzo, I think Lizzo being on this will be also really fun too.
Yeah, Lizzo's gonna be great. Lizzo's perfect for this. So, I mean, the other things, like Doja Cat says she's not going on tour with the new album coming out, which broke my heart, but like, I get it. But let's talk about new music. Okay, I think we should start with Mona Leo's EP. So I did listen to it. And here's what I have to say. So, what I think... What I think about this album, about this EP, or this project or whatever, I think the lines between like EP and album are blurred so often, and we don't really know how to judge a body of work as as what it is. But so I'm going to consider it just as an EP and saying this isn't her debut album, but it's just a debut project for her. And it felt all over the place, and I think it felt a little bit rushed. And I wish she had spent more time and really waited. I wish I can feel, her going through these growing pains as an artist on this album. And it is painful to listen to. But you mean they don't call it growing pains for no reason. Like, she is changing as an artist. She's not the same girl from Beating Down Your Block. And I don't know what it is that she feels she has to prove. I don't know what message she is trying to give. I don't know what direction she's trying to go toward as a rapper, as an artist. But this is all over the place. And I don't think this is the best effort that she could have put out. There wasn't really anything that stood out to me. It was very like just chaotic and not in a good listenable way. It felt, like I said, just very rushed and not in a like but I could feel, I don't know, there is something about it that also feels so young and also so like but not in a youthful way. Young in an immature, not fun way. Young in a, like there's some growing up she still needs to do as an artist kind of way. I just feel like the songs where she was singing and it was kind of poppy felt a bit very generic, and the song, like the Goddess song with Flo Milli, like this is not what I was expecting from a Flo Milli Mona Leo collab, a pair that I think works really well together. Like I just I'm a bit disappointed in the project, and I just think there is a lot that she needs to do as an artist to like really find her sound and really like kind of cement herself in the game in that way. So those are my sanitized thoughts about this album. Because I mean, like, I like her. I like her. I like some of the music she puts out. She seems like a very good person. But this shit was trash, and I just had to say that. But what did you guys think about it?
I can go. I mean, I didn't listen to the whole album yet, but I can resonate with what you were saying of it feeling a little bit all over the place. I don't think Beating Down Your Block needed to be on this.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Why was that on there? But I think you're right that she has a lot more maturing to do as an artist. You can see, I think, the talent she has from her writing ability, but it needs to be polished a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I think that will come with time. But like I said, I haven't listened to the album or EP in its entirety, so I can't speak to it fully. But I think she does need to find where she wants to be as like a rap girl, as a coming up as a rap girl.
Yeah.
Because I think Beating Down Your Block, and then like some of the other like singles she's like released between this time have been different than what she's been showcasing on this EP, which is like, I guess, fair to want to experiment and like see what sticks. But I think there's, again, more maturing and polishing that has to be done from this point.
I agree.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you both are saying. There wasn't anything that like really stood out to me besides the songs that were already, that we already know from her. And I was just waiting for something on the album or the EP to get me as excited as those songs do. But yeah, like I'm really excited to see, like in a couple years, like what she is doing and where she is.
Exactly.
Because I don't really encounter her music like out in the world a lot. But I see her a ton. Like, looks, always looking lovely, always looking gorgeous. So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see if there's a way we could finally like meld all that together so that it doesn't feel separate. It just feels like one big star.
I think she just needs like help.
I was about to say she needs help. She needs like a mentor or something. A producer take her.
Where's Tiana Taylor? Tiana Taylor
with Summer Walker.
Her.
She's with Summer Walker right now.
She needs to add her to the roster. She needs to add Mona Leo to the roster, because I told you when I saw her opening for Flo Milli on Flo Milli's tour, I had the same thoughts that a lot of people say about Summer Walker. No stage presence. None. She called people up onto stage, Mona Leo, to rap Beating Down Your Block, and they had more stage presence than she did. And that was embarrassing to watch. Yeah, it really does hurt, and I just think she needs help. I think I do remember, or like we have to remember, she's just turned 21, 22. Like
she's young.
She's young, like very young. So there is so much time to grow, and I'm trying to give her grace. Like everybody people did not give to the City Girls when they needed it, and then now look at them. So I'm gonna give her some room to grow. I'm gonna give her grace. I'm not gonna give up on her or her music. We're gonna give her some time to grow.
I wish that she was on the Barbie soundtrack. Like I wish that she was giving something worthy of that,
right?
Because like she's Barbie. You know what I mean?
She really is, though.
Feels like
She really is.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Maybe in a couple of years though. Maybe in Barbie 2. Escape from Barbie Land. I don't know. Okay, let's talk about Pound Town 2. So random. But this is my favorite Nicki Minaj. This is the Nicki Minaj that I love, not the angry, all these bitches are my sons, Nicki Minaj. I like the fun Nicki, who is just having fun with her flow, who's having fun with her rhymes, who is laughing, who's having a good time in the studio. Like, you can tell in Nicki Minaj's music when she is in the studio having a good time, or when she is in the studio like angry and upset and trying to like prove something, when she is not a person who has something to prove at this point in her career. I loved it. I don't know about y'all, but I fucking love it, and I have not stopped listening to it. She said booty hole wax down, and I said me too. Like, I really related to that. I really felt that one. I did.
I don't know. Nicki Minaj, I think I've said this multiple times. I don't know. They just don't hit the same to me as they used to hit. So I wasn't necessarily like enamored with it, to be honest. But I mean, I don't know, the song still hits in general. So
yeah, I mean, Pound Town 2, like, oh my gosh. I mean, just like Sexy Red, like I said before, she's just doing the damn thing. Like, she's having a wonderful time.
Silly girl music all summer.
Being silly and having a great time. What did you think about it, Camille?
No, I really like it too. I agree with you. It's just really fun. Like,
exactly.
And I hate to take it to this place. I think that when she's on songs with other women, that's when that I need to prove myself thing kind of happens. And I think a lot of songs that if she's on songs with men, I think that's when she relaxes and has fun because she knows.
But this is a song with a woman.
That's really true. I really like it. I was having fun. I'm already hearing it all over the place.
Yup.
And maybe
everywhere.
I feel like that hasn't happened for a while. But like a
Nicki song,
and I'm hearing it already all over the place. I feel like normally what happens lately is I'll hear the song and be like, oh, I'm not sure. And then because I'm hearing it so much, I'm like, all right, I liked it.
Yeah. So that's what happened with the Princess Diana remix. I was not feeling it, and then I kept hearing it.
Yeah.
Okay, was there anything else on here that stood out for you guys that you want to talk about?
Did you like the City Girl song?
You know what? I expressly did not like the City Girl song, and I want that nigga to stay as far away from this album as humanly possible. If he is in the studio, get him out. I do not want Diddy on the new City Girls album.
You know he's going to be on the album.
I want them to get away from this man. Stay away from them. Get a job.
He's annoying on the song. Like, that's what it is. Like, he's very annoying. I found myself, sounding like Suge Knight. I said, if you want a producer who's not up in the videos, I said, because this is just annoying. Like, this isn't about you. It's just giving old man.
Why was Fabulous on this song too? Like, where did he come from?
Yeah, that felt random.
Where did he come from? Where did he come from?
Diddy was like, wait, let me go call up someone real quick.
That's the randomest person to call. Like, of all people you could have called, you called Fabulous?
Yo.
Nobody else is answering for your ass? I wonder
why. I don't know. Yeah, I thought it would have been better minus the men on this for me.
Because all you need is the City Girls.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need Fabulous. I don't need Diddy. All I need is the City Girls. And the song would have been fine.
Yeah. So we'll see. But, new album coming soon.
Allegedly.
So, allegedly.
I mean, I believe her when she says, but
I believe her. I mean,
proof.
I'd be surprised that they don't have this song of the summer on this album.
I want to talk about this Carrie Foe song with Gangsta Boo. Did you listen to this one? White Caprice?
I did. I really love Carrie Foe. I'm excited.
Okay, do you?
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't listen to Carrie Foe a lot.
Yeah.
But I listened to this song in particular from her tape, and I am obsessed with it.
Yeah.
I love it so much. And like, rest in peace to Gangsta Boo. I just am thinking now about the comeback that she was about to have, that just got cut short. Because I'm hearing in this verse, like, she really does sound charged up, like, again. And I love this song. I love this song. I really do. What did you think about the song, Camille?
I really love the song. I think it's a beautiful homage to Gangsta Boo. I just, like I said, I was excited about this this mixtape coming out. I really, really, really like Harry Foe, and just like other rappers in that vein, like Jungle Pussy, and like these like, I don't know. I like to call them like Santa Golds, like descendants,
Santa Golds,
like these
children,
like all like these like all black girls who kind of blur the what's it called, genre. I want to say gender, and that's not what I meant. The genre lines. I love this song. I think the tape is really good in general.
Okay. Did you listen to this one, Brie?
Yeah, I think I listened to it briefly. It didn't really catch my eye too much, but I want to go back and listen to it based off of you all's glowing reviews. And also listen to the mixtape as well, because I think I like some of this genre of like rapping and like you said, Camille, like the blending of genres as well. So I think it would be helpful to listen to it completely as the mixtape.
Yeah.
You know?
What about this Glorilla song? What do we think about it?
Because I enjoyed it.
I loved it. I fucking love this song. I like the video too.
The video is so good.
I was like, you are having so much fun. Again, download immediately. Yes! I was like, this is it. I was like, Glorilla looks like she's having so much fun with her friends. She's just like, let's just again go into like a gas station. Like,
think about Glorilla. Have a good time. She is gonna have fun with her girls. Okay.
Yes.
They gonna be ghetto and wonderful, and I love every minute of it.
Same.
Every minute of it.
She looks amazing in this video.
Don't she?
Yes.
Don't she look good?
Got a little choreo. She busted out.
I know. I was like, okay, denim.
No, it was very fun. Now I want to talk about this Kitsch Krieg featuring Ken the Man song that has me by the throat. This song, what is it called? Body, Waist, Lips, Face. Did you guys listen to this one?
I did. I thought it was.
I was floored. I loved it. I said, okay, so Ken can do house. Like, she can do dance music. Like, she can just get into that genre. I am obsessed with this song. And it just goes to say what I have said about Ken the Man. She just needs the right people behind her. And I think this is a producer that she needs to lock in with.
Really? I wasn't a fan of the song like that. But also I think like house can be really like hit or miss for me. So I think that also plays into it. But I don't know. It wasn't my favorite Ken the Man song.
Interesting. Okay, so should we get into our main topic?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so guys, we're going to go through, and I picked 1 to 2 albums from every decade of women in hip hop, and we're just going to like give our thoughts on the album and talk about like if we have standouts from the album and ask if they hold up or not. So we're starting with the 80s with Light as a Rock from MC Lyte. And so Light as a Rock, this is what it says on Wikipedia, is the debut studio album by American hip hop recording artist MC Lyte. Released in 1988 from Atlantic Records and was produced by Prince Paul, Audio 2, and King of Chill and his group Alliance. Light as a Rock debuted at number 63 on the top Black albums charts, because that's what it used to be called. And in 1988, it peaked at number 50, spending 16 weeks on the chart. And despite not having much commercial success, it was a very good evaluation by critics. Since its publication has been, it's been considered one of the best and most important rap albums in history, mainly due to its influence on the subsequent work of other female rappers. Now, this was, as we said before, this was the first full female rap album, like commercial album ever to be put out. And MC Lyte was the first female rapper to ever put out like a full rap album. So I want to know what you guys' thoughts were on this album. Like, whether you listened to it in its entirety or not, that's fine. But what were your thoughts on the album? And did you have any songs that were standouts for you?
First of all, I'm still stuck on the Black chart.
Yeah, I know.
I can't get over that.
It's wild.
It's crazy because knowing what we know about how the charts are already segregated and racist and very biased toward white people, it's interesting that they would just in 1980 just straight up call it
you can't be
on the pop charts. You can't be on the pop charts. You're on the Black Album chart.
You're on the
They
Black
said here's MC
album.
Light, here's Whitney Houston, here's Barry White, here's James Brown. Like all of y'all just gonna be on the same.
And they don't do nothing similar except be niggas. Ain't nothing about their music the same.
We're like, we're gonna put all of y'all in the same category. We'll see what happens. No, I listened to some of this album. I bopped around a little bit. Sounds very 80s. Very 80s.
Very 80s!
Like the intros of the song, the way that people are talking, like very 80s. I'm trying to think if there was a couple of songs that stood out to me. I think it was like The Light as a Rock, obviously, one of the more popular songs there. And then was it Paper Thin as well?
Mm-hmm.
I think something that we also need to do is like, how do we define does it hold up over time? Because I'm not sure it necessarily does
for you today.
Me,
well, then that's your opinion.
So, because I don't know. I also think about something that I was thinking about listening to this was like, has somebody else like sampled the beats from this album as well in songs that I'm listening to today or like in the past like 15 years or so?
Because it's been 35 years since this came out.
Right. And maybe they have, but nothing that I've been able to see as a standout. So that's my thoughts.
That's interesting. I love that. What do you think, Camille?
I did listen to it in its entirety. But you know me, I went and scrolled to the bottom. It said like 38 minutes. I said, I got 38 minutes.
You said I got time for that.
I just loved it. Like I was so, it sounded like Brie is totally right. It sounds so 80s.
Yeah.
But there's things about that production that sound like music that reminds me of music today that's not necessarily hip hop music.
Oh.
Like, for that intro song, the production is so wild. I was like, this sounds like hyper pop. Like this sounds like 100 gecs or something. It's just so like so much going on.
That's interesting.
And it just sounded very maximalist, which is a lot of the music that I listen to today. Yeah. So I was like really drawn to the production.
And 80s feels very maximalist.
Right. The 80s is very
That's a good point.
Yeah. And I think has a lot to say about where we are in like the cyclical cycle
of music. Yeah.
Exactly. Like I think we are in a bit of a maximalist era when it comes to music anyway, because some of that 80s sound is coming back. But I just loved it. Like the production is so kind of wild and crazy, but you never lost. Like she never got lost in that. She sounds so just like confident.
Yeah.
And, like 10% Diss is like a legendary diss.
Right.
But, like
that was my standout.
And it still holds up. Like what I loved about it is that it was a disc that was so focused on the music.
Right.
And it to me sounded just as like it was just as effective as like a disc track you hear today.
Right.
That's talking so much about people's personal lives or revealing people's children and whatever. And it didn't even go there. It was just like, you steal beats, bitch. Yeah. And I'm gonna call you out, which I just thought was so great.
Yeah. That's so interesting. Did you have any other standouts besides 10% Diss, or was that your one?
That was my one that really stood out. I love that. I'm really into that intro. I was just so like,
love it.
Just not expecting all of those sounds.
Mm-hmm.
And my only issue, I think, is I don't know. I feel like MC Light has kind of been left out of some of these 50.
Yup.
Like you were at the Grammys up in the booth announcing shit, but I remember that she didn't come down.
Nope.
And then to be reminded that this is the first female rap album ever, essentially. It's weird. It
sucks.
I feel like they think because it sounds so 80s that people won't be drawn to it. But that's the point.
I think that's interesting though that you say that, because like, who did they bring out, or who could they have bring out at the Grammys or in these celebrations? Like they're gonna be bringing out people like KRS-One, Big Daddy Kane. They're gonna be bringing out Eric B and Rakim. So if they can come out and do it, then they should be bringing out MC Light. They should be bringing out Salt and Pepper. They should be bringing out like Roxanne Shante. Like these are pioneers for the sound, not just for women in the sound, but for the sound in general. And I think that was what my thing about it was like very hard bars, but the bars feel very 80s. You know what I mean? Much longer songs. Like, but I mean, they was just spitting back then. Like, it was just like, let's just go. You know, like, let's just go. Like, put her in there and let's just go. And I do think, like, she sounded very confident and very clear and very sure of who she was as an MC when I listened to this. And I think that was interesting to me because like you said, like MC Light is not a person who is celebrated often in hip hop. And so when I think of her music, I don't like I don't really think of her music. So it was like, it was interesting to hear.
Well, I wonder if that's also just like a generational thing too.
Probably.
Because it's like I can go back to, like, obviously we're going to talk about the 90s next. And that's like, okay, this sounds familiar. I could remember my dad playing this in the car. Like, you know, there's some type of nostalgia to it versus this is a little bit further back where it doesn't kind of hit the same, I think. So I think there's also a generational gap.
That could be. And hip hop is still so new in the 80s, you know? Still figuring itself out.
It reminds me a lot of when we, for Does It Hold Up, watched Sister Act. And it's like, you have someone like Whoopi Goldberg, who's obviously an amazing actor, but we've been alive for like a different era of her.
Exactly.
Like, we know her as like a host and like other, like a figure that like is transcended the acting, but it's almost makes me feel like we need to then revisit her movies more. That's how I felt here. I'm like, we know MC Light as this like great announcer, as someone who we know as a figure in hip hop history, but we don't get to see it a lot. I'm like, it feels like even more pressing that we need to get into it now and remind people.
So let's move on to the 90s. So we're going to talk about two albums for the 90s, and that is Lil Kim's Hardcore and Foxy Brown's Il Nana. So let's start with Hardcore. So I'm just going to read this from Wikipedia. So Hardcore is the debut studio album by Lil Kim, released November 12th, 1996, under Atlantic. After achieving success with Junior Mafia and their album Conspiracy, the previous year she started working on her solo album with Notorious B.I.G., who served as the executive producer and performed on 4 of her songs. She collaborated with a number of producers on this, such as Puff Daddy, that's what it says here, Sean Puff Daddy Combs, Stevie J, David Ski Willis, and Jermaine Dupri, among others, and other rappers like Jay-Z and Lil C's and Puff Daddy were featured on the album. The album was notable for its overt, raunchy sexual tone and Kim's lyrical delivery, which is praised by music critics and is considered a classic album. It debuted at number 11 on the US Billboard 200, the albums chart, and number 3 on the top R&B albums chart, selling 78,000 copies in its first week, while it reached number 26 on the Canadian albums chart. The album was certified double platinum. So, I think for me, with this album, it's so like, oh, this is where it really starts. You know, like, and I don't want to say that and eliminate all of the work that female rappers did before this, but it's like, oh, let's set this shit into high gear. Like, it's like in motion. Like, I don't care that this came out in 96. This is so indicative of like women in hip hop in the 90s. It's sexy, it's aggressive, it's like very dominant. Like, you know, like everything about this is like what you want on a debut album, to be like, I'm that bitch and I'm here. And when I think about standout songs from this, I think about Big Mama Thing, Not Tonight, No Time, Crush on You, like it, like all the ones that are just literal classics. Like on a debut album, to have that many classics, it's actually crazy. So it absolutely holds up, if you ask me.
Same. I feel the same way. I think, yeah, raunchy is just like the right word for this album. Like, it's straight up raunchy. She's saying whatever she wants to say on here. And I think that also the amount of like collabs she had on here from Jay-Z, obviously Junior Mafia was huge in the 90s as well. I think it was just a home run of like a debut album.
Literally.
But yeah, my standouts were the same. Crushing on You, Not Tonight. I think Player Haters was also going. Oh, Queen Bitch as well.
Amazing song.
So I think this one holds up over the test of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a legendary album. It obviously holds up. I think it's something that people need to revisit when they get up in arms about stuff sounding raunchy today.
Yep.
Because I'm sorry, this was a whole album.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you get like maybe once every couple years, you get a song that really gets people like going. But this was just like an entire project of that. And it did, like, it made me gain even more respect for those women before them. Like, you can't get to Lil' Kim being able to say all of this stuff without MC Lyte on a song in the 80s talking about like men being corny. You know what I mean? Like, so I just, I don't know, it just made me appreciate it a lot more than I already did, like listening to it in this context. Because I kind of went in order of all the albums listed. So it was just like, I don't know, it just made me appreciate it even more and gave me a glimpse of like what it must have felt like at the time to be a woman. And to hear something like this in the same year as Adina Howard, in the same year as like, it just, it's very cool.
It's a lot. There was a lot, like it's the 90s, like it's 96, think of like everything that was coming out. Like, so yeah, it's really difficult, but I agree. So let's talk about Il Nana. So Il Nana is, and I'm so excited to talk about this album because people don't talk about it. But Il Nana is the debut studio album of Foxy Brown, released November 19th, 1996, just a couple weeks after Lil' Kim's debut album by Def Jam Recordings. And then they added the song Big Bad Mama in 1997. Now, she began working on the album after she was discovered by production team Trackmasters, which is composed of Poke and Tone. And then she appeared on a number of singles from LL Cool J, Case, and Jay-Z. And she kind of was in a bidding war, and she was 17 years old when Def Jam won the bidding war and signed her. And so Il Nana features guest appearances from Blackstreet, Havoc, Method Man, Kid Capri, and Jay-Z. And lyrically, the album mainly focuses on themes of fashion, sex, and mafia. Il Nana debuted at number 7 on the Billboard 200, and in its first week, it sold 128,000 copies. And it is actually today sold over 1.4 million copies and is certified platinum. 3 singles were released: Get Home, which peaked number 42, the second I'll Be, which had a lot of commercial success, and it peaked at number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100, and it became her highest charting single, and it was ranked as number 52 on VH1's 100 top hip-hop songs of all time. And then the song Big Bad Mama was released July 28th, 1997. It was on the soundtrack of the film How to Be a Player. If you remember that movie with, what's his name? Bill Bellamy in it. So the album, it says push boundaries and it like pushed and broke boundaries for female rappers, and it became the first female rap album to debut in the top 10 of the Billboard 200, and the first female rap album have certified plaques outside of the United States, and the highest selling and fastest selling female rap album in 1986 to go platinum in about 2.5 months. So that is Il Nana. What are our thoughts on Il Nana? Because I have lots. It hurts me to think about the way that people leave Foxy Brown out of these conversations of pioneering women in hip hop, especially knowing and like reading all of this about the boundaries that her music broke, and like the way that, like, you know, her music was like pushing boundaries, and just all of the achievements that she had with this first album. Like, I just feel like she completes Lil' Kim. You know, she completes that. Like, she is the yin to her yang, whether or not they liked each other or didn't. They needed each other. This album was sexy. I love her gruff, deep, sexy ass voice. It was magic. And it's really sad, like, you know, thinking about what happens to her career when this is the kind of talent that she had. I think she is a person who we don't talk about enough when we talk about hip hop and R&B being melded together very well, because that is another thing that Foxy Brown does really, really well. If she gets paired with an R&B singer, and it's just like peanut butter and jelly, like it just goes together so well. I thought this album was so pleasing, like all around, and I think it's like such a definitive album of the 90s, of female rap in the 90s, and of what it could be or what it could have been. And I think for me, my standouts were obviously Il Nana and I'll Be.
Yeah, I think I also am guilty of like leaving Foxy Brown out of the conversation, and being able to like listen to this album was like, of course, this was like something that was such a standout in the 90s. And she was also so young when this album came out.
I had no idea she was 17.
Yeah, I was like, she's like 17 on this album, which is kind of wild to think about, and the type of, content that she's speaking of. Mm-hmm. But I think that, yes, this album definitely holds up over time. The standouts to me, I'll Be Il Nana too. And then, yeah, I think those two are the ones that stood out to me. But yeah, I think we do tend to leave her out of the conversation frequently. And I don't know why.
I think it's just because of what happened with her career later. Like, she got into a lot of legal trouble. Then people start saying, "Oh, Foxy Brown is washed, and she's never gonna have another hit." And it's sad. It's sad because she's still so young. She still could have a comeback, and I'm hoping she does.
Yeah, it does make me sad to think about that, especially because she was 17 when this all started. Like, she had so much more to do and so many places to go. Mm-hmm. I adore Foxy Brown. I just know myself that if I was alive, like I was alive, but if I was like, more than 1 year old and like a fully functioning human and, they're making us pick sides, I just know myself.
You would have been on Foxy Brown's side.
I just think she's so cool. There's something, I love them both so much, but I'm so drawn to her. They're both kind of raunchy, but they do it in like a different,
very different
way. Like Little Kim is like in your face with it, like, which is great, and I love that too. But there's something very like
rough about the way,
and like mysterious about the way that Foxy Brown does it that I just absolutely love. They're both fashion girlies, but I don't know. I just love this Dior princess.
Yes,
always have, and I just love to hear her on the types of, like, I'm really drawn to the production on her songs slightly more than some of the production, the Bad Boy production. I'll Be is such a great song. Like, I love the original disco track, and I think it's just so fun to hear her, like you said, working with all of these R&B artists and people in different genres, whereas I feel like Little Kim was mostly working with other male rappers, which, Foxy Brown is doing too. Yeah. But something about mixing it up, it was like, I don't know, she never got lost in it, if that makes any sense. I just love to listen to her. I just absolutely love to listen to her. And I think it definitely holds up. And I don't think it just holds up. I think that she would really have a place today. Like, these things I think she's an artist that would do really, really well in the current climate. Music, especially with now that it is such a big thing to do these collabs with R&B artists, get on these songs. Like, I could see her being able to get on songs with like a Brent Faiyaz or like and just be like people who are more current. I would just love that. So I'm a really big fan of this album and just a really big fan of her in general. Yeah, and think more people just need to read about her.
Read about her. Yeah, like,
get into it. How old was Corrupt when they were engaged?
That's a very good question.
I'm grossed out.
Yeah, he was older. He was older. He was older.
That's a child.
She literally was. Like, she couldn't have been more than like 18, 19, 20. Like 21 years old. But Corrupt was a little bit older. So moving on to the 2000s. Now, let me tell you guys, it was hard to choose which album I was going to talk about from this artist. I went with this one just because I just was remembering what it was like in the 2000s and remembering what I was listening to and what I was hearing a lot. So the next album we're going to talk about is Miss E, So Addictive, which is the third studio album by Missy Elliott. So it was released in May of 2001, and the album spawned the club and R&B and hip hop hits 1 Minute Man, featuring Ludacris and Trina, Get Your Freak On, as well as the international club hit For My People, and the less commercially successful single, Takeaway. It debuted at number 2 on the US Billboard 200, selling 250,000 copies in its first week, certified platinum, and it got 2 Grammys for Get Your Freak On, and the non-single Scream, aka Itchin', for Best Rap Solo Performance and Best Female Rap Solo Performance. Because remember, for a while, that was a category. Actually, the both years that it was a category, Missy Elliott won. both years that it was a category. And I mean, duh. Melissa Elliott. It's the way that like every one of her albums is just so different from each other, and she rode that futuristic wave so hard. Like she was the leader of that shit. But this album to me is just god tier level. Like when I think of the albums that should be put into like the Library of Congress, when I think of those that should be cemented in history, her flows are insane. The music videos for this are nuts. The collabs that she chose, knowing that in 2001, I mean today, but in 2001 especially, people would fall over themselves to collab with Missy Elliott. Like, this is who you want to work with. But the collabs that she chose for this were insane. Like, I mean, the production is just like out of this world. Like her and Timbaland, like when they get together, like it's just like, and it's so hard because like you can say that about a lot of her albums. They're such god tier level, but to me, it was this one for me. And I think and like we don't talk about enough, like Missy and Tweet. Missy and Tweet together, baby. That we don't talk about it enough. But like it's everything. And I just think like the 1 Minute Man, especially the one with Trina, and we're gonna talk about Trina next, it just stands out so much. Get Your Freak On, obviously, but I also love the intro with Tweet the So Addictive. Like Missy Elliott is funny as fuck, and we don't talk about that enough. This is a hilarious ass bitch, a hilarious ass, talented ass, just incredible, futuristic, out of this world human being. And I think she really set the tone for what female rap was on one end in the 2000s. It feels like it was like you're going to be really outlandish and really futuristic and really out of this world on this end, and then we'll talk about the other side next. But let's talk about Miss E. ... So Addictive. What are your guys' thoughts?
I just love her so much. I think that all that stuff you're talking about it, being futuristic and just like the magic of Missy is that I think you're seeing for the first time, like where we are in terms of like women in rap, you're seeing a woman who has complete creative control over what she's
That's tea.
And that is why there's nothing else really like it. Like
ever.
Even just now, like we're talking about, Lil Kim and Foxy, who were giants, but their albums are full of collabs with men. The men are producing the thing. They are both a part of, record labels where there are, these
mostly
mostly men, but also these like giant men at the forefront.
Yep.
Who everyone is just expecting to, be involved or is getting the credit for what they're doing. Whereas Missy, like even when she works with Timbaland, it's never like Timbaland is like making this Missy song.
No.
It's always like a collaboration. Right. It's always her in control of what is happening, which is why there's just nothing else like it. Like there's not Missy albums that I can compare to other people's albums, and there's not really Missy albums you can compare that much to each other.
That's the thing.
Is so great. And 1 Minute Man is one of my favorite songs of all time.
Yep.
It's all those things. Like it's everything that came before it.
Yep.
And like everything that can come after it. I love 1 Minute Man.
And
it's raunchy but clever. It's like she's so nasty, but she never.
Yes.
But she's so clever about it, and like never gets to that place where people are like, oh, "Did you hear what Missy is saying?"
Missy is nasty.
Yeah, she positions herself as a sex symbol, and I just absolutely love it because, like, bitch, you must be.
Yeah, and I feel like it's not until obviously like your later age you're just like, wait, she said that?
Like, wait, I get that now.
Hold on.
Yes.
Me over here, 1 minute, like, girl.
had no clue what it meant. Had no idea.
Had no idea. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that you picked this one over Under Construction.
I know.
for me, that's my album of like Missy Elliott. Like, I don't know. That's one that is like in the Mount Rushmore of her albums for me. But I also do appreciate the amount of like collaboration, like you all had said, with Timbaland, obviously the artists that you choose to include on this. 1 Minute Man obviously stands out. Get Your Freak On. I've also been on a big like Wu-Tang Clan, like
Redman and Method Man were on this.
Method Man, yeah.
Oh, was it Method Man?
Yeah, no, it was
it was
Method Man and Redman. Yeah. So I definitely can appreciate the artistry of this album, and I definitely think this is something that, like you said, is going to withstand time. Just hip hop in general, not just women in hip hop.
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. So that, did you have any other standouts besides 1 Minute Man?
No, I don't think so. Similar to you all, get your freak on as well. But that's pretty much it. Get your freak on and Dog in the Heat.
Love that.
Like I said.
Yes.
So let's talk about Da Baddest Bitch, which is the 2000 debut album by Trina. It was released March 21st, 2000 through the label Atlantic Slip and Slide Records. Debuted at number 33 on the US Billboard 200 and number 11 on the top R&B and hip hop charts. And it was it was stayed on the chart for 39 weeks and on the hip hop chart for 49 weeks consecutively. Even though a lot of the singles failed to chart, some of the Craig Seymour, I don't know if you guys follow him on Twitter, but he's like this like Black culture, pop culture critic, like music critic, and he said something that I really love. It says when he reviewed the album for Entertainment Weekly, he says, "As nasty as Lil' Kim used to be, Trina boldly positions herself as the new queen of randy hip hop tales in which sex is a contact sport played by rival genders. Spare Miami bass beats provide the apt low end for her below the belt rhymes on Da Baddest Bitch. And the song about the pain of loving a violent, cash-obsessed thug shows us she's as skilled at speaking truth as she is at hawking fantasies." Trina. What do you say?
OG City Girl.
Oh my
Girl.
God, that's
City
it.
Girl, yeah.
The City Girl. Trina was that artist for me growing up where it was like, if she came on when I was in the car with my mama, like my mama's gonna change the station. Because that's how, even on the sanitized radio version of Trina, it was too much for me to be listening to. However, when I was over my cousin's house, oh baby, we was bumping that shit like as loud as the speakers could go. We was listening to that shit. To me, this album is like what the other side of women in the hip hop, women in the 2000s were like in hip hop, like aggressive, loud, sexy, proud to be sexy, vulgar. And I think this album is another one that's just like truly like people will look back on it and be like, oh my God, that set the standard. Oh my God, that has influenced everything. So many of these albums that came after it, like Pull Out, The Baddest Bitch, 69 Ways, like come on. And this is the debut album of a person who had never intended to be a rapper. And this is what she can do? And the thing that I love most about it is it's so Miami. It is so deeply, deeply Southern. The Miami bass sound in this, the horns, like everything about the production about it, it just like touches me. It gets me. And I get real emotional when I talk about Trina because she's another one who I feel like, why don't we talk about her more? Why is she not being celebrated and heralded alongside Nicki Minaj, alongside Missy, alongside Eve and Foxy and Lil' Kim, because she is a pioneer of this sound?
I think because the sound is so popular right now that people don't even understand. Like, I think it's so hard for people to fathom what things were like in 2000.
Yeah.
Like the City Girls happened at a time where, you know, people on social media having those kind of conversations, like where we are as a society is like, you know,
fuck niggas get money.
Exactly. Like we were living in a City Girls era when the City Girls, like Carisha and JT came out. We were not necessarily living in a City Girls era when Tina came out.
You're right.
And it's amazing that she just got on the mic and was telling her truth. Like that's literally the life that she was living, and that's what she was doing. And I just think that is so, like, it's so brave, kind of, to just be able to get on there and speak your truth when you know that your truth is not
popular.
You know, the truth
Not
of
the
the
same.
moment, not what other
Right.
women are necessarily aspiring to.
Exactly.
But you made us aspire to it. Like,
absolutely.
People love that era, and it came back because people, you know, started looking back at old music and what was going on in the 2000s, and seeing that there was a Trina there made women feel very empowered today to be able to like do the same thing. And I just think that is excellent. And it definitely holds up, because if it came out today,
oh my God, if it came out
100%.
today,
it just
child.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When she did that Tiny Desk, and I was
every
song,
gagging.
I was like, oh no, like
I was
this
gagging.
is a perfect moment for this to happen. It's a
Yeah.
perfect moment for us to really revisit Trina and give her her flowers.
Absolutely.
Totally. Yeah, I feel like when I think about this album, I think about those like spring breaks that you used to see on like 106 and Park and VH1 of them on the beach, like the summers we were never promised. Like,
exactly.
You know, like that's what I think about when I think about this album. And I totally agree. If this was to come out today, it would be, I'd be in Miami. I'd be in Miami right
Hell
now, just
yeah.
like on South Beach. But yeah, this album definitely holds up. I don't think I have any other additional comments from what you all have said as well. But she definitely does need her flowers, and I think that she really is the origin of like what a city girl was like back in the day.
Yep.
So we definitely have to pay her flowers.
Absolutely. So let's move on to the 2010s, and we're going to start by talking about the Pink Print. So the Pink Print is the third studio album by Nicki Minaj, and I chose to not talk about Pink Friday because we actually did an entire episode on Pink Friday, so you can go back and listen to that. But we're talking about the Pink Print by Nicki Minaj, released by Young Money, Cash Money, Republic. Nicki co-executive produced it along with Birdman, Lil Wayne, and Ronald Williams, and a ton of producers who worked on the album, like Boy Wonder, Cardo, Hitmaker, Metro Boomin, unfortunately, Dr. Luke, Mike Will Made It, 1985, like Polo the Don, like Zaytoven, all those. So when it was released, why can't I speak today? When it was released, it received general positive reviews from music critics, most of them praising the production and personal lyrics. It was among the best of like decade lists. It landed on like 166 on Pitchforks and 60 on Rolling Stone. It only reached to number 2 on the US Billboard 200, and we know how she feels about that. It sold about 244,000 albums in its first week. And what else? It's been certified 2 times platinum since by the RAA. And it received a Grammy nomination for Best Rap Album in 2016. Which we know went to. But the Pink Print spawned singles Pills and Potions, Anaconda, Only, Bed of Lies, Truffle Butter, The Night is Still Young. And the second single, Anaconda, peaked at number 2 on the Billboard 200 Hot 100, which at the time was her highest charting single up until like very recently. And then to promote it, she went on the Pink Print tour, which spanned 50 shows over 5 months. So I think I chose this one because if you ask me, this feels like the second album, like officially. Like there was that whole time after the Pink Print where she was doing the Pink Print, Roman Reloaded, the Pink Print, Roman Released, the Pink Print, or the Pink Friday, Roman Reloaded, but when the Pink Print came out, it was like, this is the second album of Nicki. And I think it's so interesting to see her in such a vulnerable way, because if you remember, it was at this time when she stopped doing all that clown shit, when she put down the Moschino and she started to wear like her you know I'm not lying.
She took out her phone. She blocked Jeremy Scott.
Scott. She said, "Don't ever call me again."
She stopped drinking that Moscato that she dropped. Like
this is the time when she stopped doing all that clown shit. And I feel like once she did, everything elevated. The flows, like her looks, her bars, it was very intricate. She started getting features from Beyonce. Like this is when like everything for me, like this is when she ascended to queen status, if you ask me. It was when the Pink Print came out. And then it just felt like it was indisputable. Like she was the indisputable queen after the Pink Print came out, if you ask me. Now, some standouts, some songs that I love from this were Pills and Potions, Feeling Myself, and Trinity Them Girls. And I want to talk about Trinity Them Girls.
Yes, Trinity Them Girls.
I'd
love to hear this.
I want to talk about Trinity Them Girls because here's the one thing that pisses me off about Nicki Minaj. why do we not get more Caribbean Trini flavor from her? She is a Trini girl, and on that song that she released for Pride, for Trini Carnival this year, I said, bitch, you need to put that on streaming services right the fuck now. What was it called? Shake the Place or something? I need that on streaming services right the fuck now, because I've been listening to it on SoundCloud on repeat since it dropped. She's so Caribbean. Like, Nicki is just so Caribbean, and she does it so well. And Trini Them Girls is not a song that she gives enough credit. It's not a song that anybody gives enough credit, but it was my favorite song from the Pink Print. And that was my thoughts about the Pink Print.
Yes, I loved that. I love it that I love this conversation. Yeah, I love this album so much. It just takes me back to like a very specific place in time. I was still in college. I was like in my little apartment, you know, like living my life. And I just absolutely love this album. Now, I'm going to say there are songs from this album that I just don't listen to.
Yeah.
But the ones that I love are songs that I absolutely love. Standout tracks. My favorite song on this album is Want Some More. Hands down, easily. Like, she is just going crazy the whole time. I love Big Daddy. I'm pretty sure that's just only on the deluxe as well. I don't even really have time for Ramik's ass, but I really do love that song. I was not a proponent of their relationship. I was so annoyed the entire time.
Yeah.
But I did love that song.
But look, we got something much worse now.
Oof, I know. I wish we was just dealing with his dumb ass. And I mean, Anaconda is a perfect song.
It is!
It's so smart. It's an excellent use of a sample, and it comes on today. Like, I'm never tired of hearing Anaconda.
Not at all.
I remember when that music video dropped.
Oh my god!
I was on the bus looking at this video. I watched it at least 3 times. I was like, "This is incredible."
Brie was mesmerized by that.
I was like,
I really think that she brought us into the ass era. With
hell yeah,
because
like the Kardashians, it was Nicki.
But that really set it off.
It was Nicki.
I think.
It was Nicki. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
No, for me, this is one of my favorite Nicki Minaj albums. Period. I think that it is a complete body of work.
Yep.
From being extremely vulnerable, personal, but also having the fun that you love from Nicki Minaj.
Oh, hell
music.
yeah.
This is the only album. This is like, what, 22 songs with the deluxe? Like,
I feel like it was about that. Like, because the deluxe version is the one that had, there were a couple songs that were on the deluxe version that weren't.
Like, Truffle Butter.
Truffle Butter, right. That was one of them. That was like, it wasn't.
But I love this album, hands down. I think one of my favorite songs on here is Win Again. And I also like Pills and Potions, obviously. I also liked Favorite, too. That was the one that I also had on repeat.
You know which one I hated? Grand Piano.
Shanghai?
I hated Grand Piano so...
Grand Piano!
Shut up! Good! Wait, but Camille, your girl Jessie Ware... Your girl Jessie Ware is on this album. Did you know that?
Yes, she is. I did know that she's on this album.
I had no idea.
Yes.
No, but yeah, I think similar to Camille, though, I think this like also held a certain place in my heart of like a certain period of time, I think, as well. So it's also nostalgic in a way, but I think this is one of her best albums. Like,
truly one of her best. And now I think it's interesting that you guys talk about the place that it held in your heart for a certain period in time, because we're talking about 2014. Which is why I included this other album. So the other album that we're going to talk about from this time period of the 2010s is Broke with Expensive Taste, which is the debut studio album by Azealia Banks. Now, I know a lot of people have very polarizing feelings about Azealia Banks. You love her, you hate her, I get it.
Touch some grass, read a book, find something real to be mad about.
You love her or you hate her, and I get it. I support you either way. So it says she in 2011 she started working on this album despite not being signed to a record label. Then a year later she signed with Interscope and started working on the album, but she was dissatisfied, so she moved to another label, and it was delayed for over 2 years. Then it got released November 7th in 2014 by Banks herself with no announcement at all. Broke with Expensive Taste was described as a hip-hop house or rap house dance pop record, which incorporates elements of from a wide range of genres, including hardcore punk, trance, bounce music, R&B, UK garage, and it received pretty positive reviews. And basically, everybody said, yeah, it was worth the wait. It had 4 singles: Young Rapunzel, Heavy Metal and Reflective, Chasing Time, and Ice Princess. It peaked at number 30 on the Billboard 200, and then a bunch of other charts. And it had accumulated 300 million streams on Spotify. And in 2022, a Rolling Stone placed it on their list of 200 greatest hip hop albums of all time. Now, we remember what it was like to be alive in 2014, to be alive and listening to music in 2014. It was either or stomp, clap, hey. We were deeply traumatized by what was going on with music. Everybody was riding the EDM wave, even Rihanna. But what I think when I think about Broke with Expensive Taste, I just think like what she was able to do with this album, what she was able to do with her sound is something that has not been recreated. It's something that people have not been able to achieve or replicate successfully since. I love the way that she perfectly married this dominant genre in 2014 of EDM with, you know, a New York flair, with her dance over these beats. The production on this is fucking crazy. And I feel like this was the time in music when so many people got pigeonholed by the dominant sounds of the time, or so many people were pushed to the side by it. And I feel like very few people could ride this wave the way that Azealia Banks really did when she was like, what? How old was she when this album came out? She couldn't have been that old when this album came out. She was very, very young when this album came out. And I just like love her or hate her, but this shit, it's just a hit. It really fucking is. She really was floating over these fucking beats. Like, it's just crazy the rhymes that she has. You know?
Yeah, her vocabulary is just, that's my girl, that's my girl, that's my girl. I can't, obviously, stand by on everything we've done or said. We can't. But when it comes to making music, when it comes to rapping, like, this woman is amazing. And in her song with Pharrell, ATM Jam, she calls herself Little Red Ride the verse. And that is who she is. Like, it just works so well because it's not what everyone was doing at the time, which you were talking about, Mariah, of like, EDM's big right now. Like, let me put some EDM elements into my song. Yeah. This is her life. Like, she grew up in the Bronx. She says, I grew up in the Bronx. My babysitters were speaking Spanish. We were speaking Spanish. Yeah. And she has this Give Me a Chance on this album is one of my favorite songs because it goes into this beautiful reggaeton part where she just starts rapping in Spanish. And I remember hearing it for the first time and like truly wanting to cry. I was like, she's amazing. There was she's just different. She's just different because it comes from her, and you see it now. Like, Drake had his album this past year, and it was good, but even in just listening to it, first listen, I said there was not enough queer people involved in whatever this was. Yeah, and it just sounded like someone trying something on. Where it's like the reason why we've had a lot of people come up now rapping over these more like house dance beats, especially now. And it's not, no one else is in the pocket like the way that she is. Because this is the music of her life. This is the people that she spends time around. She's a part of that community, despite terrorizing the community constantly. She truly terrorizing. She is a part of it. She's a terrorist. I just absolutely love her. Like, I don't know. I don't want to, not in the best ways. I mean this in the best ways, but like, I see her, I hear her, and I'm like, that's me. Like, like, not is in some of the horrible stuff she's saying. No, I don't think so. But just like, I don't know. I just felt like I hadn't really seen myself, and I say that, with the tiniest grain of salt, always represented, in rap music, especially at this particular time. Yeah. And I just think this is someone who obviously has some mental health challenges. Yes. So we need to be giving grace. At the end of the, and I hate to, make the bar so low, but there are rappers who literally just like hurt people in real life. And I just feel like she says ridiculous things, but she ain't out here really hurting anybody. Yeah. No, that's fair. I love this album, and I feel like if she wasn't in her own way, I think it really, I think it could have taken music in a totally different direction. And what I keep saying this, but this is kind of the barometer I've been using for whether or not something holds up. Like if it were to come out today, I'm sorry, last year the biggest artist that anyone listened to is a reggaeton artist. If this were to come out today, I think it 1000% holds up. I think it was very much before its time.
Oh, easily.
And it's just
very of its time, but also before its time.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm just constantly still listening to. I just love it.
Absolutely.
Interesting. Yeah, like I've mentioned before, I'm not a avid listener of like house music. So for me, thinking about like in 2014, like this was not even like on my radar like that. I think I remember like the 212 song was like something that was on repeat a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think it's fair to take a step back from what I was listening to and respecting her as an artist and the type of like her artistry within this. Like you said, Camille, I think that this is who she is. She was not riding a trend. Like this is something that is who she is at her core. So I think I can respect it from an artistry level, but from a personal level, as like a fan listening of like hip hop at the time, this was not one that I would necessarily, I think, keep around for myself.
That's fair. I totally hear you, and a lot of people feel that way. And I think that was like the dominant feeling of the time, I think.
Yeah, well, that Charlemagne interview when she's on the Breakfast Club, and he just like can't wrap his head around. He's like, "I heard you make music for the gays," and she goes,
"You?
Yeah, so
what have you?"
She goes, "I do."
Okay, let's talk about the 2020s. Like we're in the 2020s, this new era of rap, and I have 3 projects. I don't know if these count as albums. One of them, I don't know, is an album. But Ho Why Is You Here by Flo Milli, Traumazine by Megan Thee Stallion, and Planet Her by Doja Cat are the 3 albums that I wanted to talk about as being definitive of like where female rap is going in the 2020s. And so I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on those 3 albums and, you know, whether or not you think they hold up and where you think, you know, female rap is really headed.
First of all, I think I'll say this more times than not, that Tina Snow is the ultimate project for Meg Thee Stallion, Traumazine, or like any of her more recent albums. I feel like are not her best projects.
That's
for myself. However, I do think this is a fair representation of where the thread is going for female rap. I think that Flo Milli, I think for her style, I think just being I don't know, just a different style of rap that we weren't used to hearing. I think from like her southern twang to like, I think Beef itself, I think is cemented her as like, like there's nowhere you can't go that like somebody's like, I don't know this song or remember listening to this. Word for word. And then I think Planet Her is a good representation of the blending of like pop and rap, and how it is so intertwined that you can't have one without the other nowadays.
You want to talk about Missy Elliott's Sons? That's one right there. That's the main one right there.
Totally.
That's the main one right there.
But I feel like these are all, I think the 3 projects that you do mention here, Ho Why Is You Here, Traumazine, Planet Her, though, I think they are a representation of the different lanes in which female rap is currently trending towards.
Yeah, I totally agree. You can have different lanes because now there's 50 years of references to pull from, as opposed to, you know, in 2000, Missy and Trina, it was like, I either gotta do something brand new or do what's been happening for the last only 10, 15 years, which is like not that much. So I love when we talk about these 3 albums, you can just clearly see the influence of all the other albums that we've talked about. Like,
literally
to them, which I think is really cool. And it just shows you now, like Brie was saying, like we can have multiple lanes. Like we're at a point now where you can have these 3 albums existing in the same exact time period from 3 artists that are totally different, but are technically in the same genre, which I think is very, very cool and interesting. And I don't think was something that was possible to do, you know, in the 2000s, in the 90s. I love all 3 besides, well, I don't love Traumazine. don't actually like it at all. But
that hurts my heart.
Trust me,
feel you though. I feel you.
Listened to it and I just wanted to.
I feel you.
I think it's something that she had to do. I think it's a time capsule of like what was going on for her
and her life
at the time, and she never, before Traumazine, she never really touched on all the difficulties of her life. She never really touched on the fact that she had lost her mom and doesn't have a great support system. And I think this was an album that she needed to make, and I think that's a cool thing to get to see. Like, Nicki Minaj had to put out a couple things before we could get to the Pink Print, where we just talked about how she got to finally be vulnerable. And I think it's nicer that we live in an era where Megan Thee Stallion doesn't have to be that famous for that long to get to do that, to get to express herself in that way. And I think that's really cool.
And for it to be receptive too.
Exactly.
Right?
For people to receive it.
Same with Doja Cat. Like, been in the game for a long time, but also so much more freedom and autonomy to do different things. Yeah. Because other women before her did.
Apparently different, but not to her extent.
You know what? I'm not worried about her. I'm not stunning her. I still fuck with this album and I still love it. I think, like, I'm biased because, like, obviously I chose, like, the albums that we were going to talk about. But I think what led me to, like, choose these albums were, like, I feel like these are three women who are very polarizingly different in their sound. Even though two of them are very Southern, but I think their music is so different in its, like, greatness, and I think, but I do still see, like, the influences from the 90s, from the 80s, and from the 2000s in all of their music, and in the 2010s, in all of their music, and the way that they are building on that to create all these different lanes and all these different pockets for women to be able to get into, and it just shows you, like, how much we are no longer limiting, or how much the women are no longer limiting themselves in hip hop. Like, on all three of these albums, on all three of these projects, you hear these women trying a myriad of different things, of different sounds, of different flows, of different beats, production, everything. They are throwing things at the wall to see how far can we take female rap? How far can we really push this thing? And I just think it's incredible to see, and to see how they've grown even since they've dropped these projects, and to see, like, the way that the genre has grown even since these projects have dropped, and we are only barely 3 years into the 2020s. So I am so deeply excited and so, like, charged up and energized by the way that, female rap has progressed, the way that it's changed, and the way that these women are really leading the charge in that. So, yeah. That's a lot. But I'm really glad that we got to, like, sit down and talk about this. So should we do music?
Great insights, yo.
Yes. I'm so glad that we got to, like, all sit down and chat, because, like, you guys, I think, are so brilliant, and I'm so grateful to be able to, share, space with you guys and talk about these kinds of things. Do we want to do music Rex now?
Let's do it.
Camille, how about you go first, or do you have one?
I do have one.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, so while we're on the subject of Miss Azalea Banks, you guys can officially, so New Bottega is not really a new song, but she recently was able to settle some disputes with the producer of the song, so it's on streaming now. We can all listen to New Bottega.
Not settle disputes.
Yes, because it popped up on Spotify a couple weeks ago, and then my phone was blowing up with people being like, new Azalea, and then I was like, wait, this is not new. Then I went to her Instagram. She was in the middle of dragging the producer, and I was like, but claiming that she wasn't receiving funds from this. So I was like, wait a minute. But it seems like they worked it out, and then because it went away for a while, now it's back. So yes, New Bottega by Azalea Banks, produced by Foot.
I'm glad that she was able to work it out.
Me too.
Right. I'm glad it was resolved.
It's hard being an AB fan. I'm not gonna lie. There's music out there that you love that'll disappear. She'll have beef with somebody. You'll hear that there's a collaboration going on, and next thing you know, the person she's supposed to be collabing with, she's on Instagram calling them, like, disgusting or something. So it's just like, wait. It's just so fast. She's always getting banned and probably up. So you really just got to keep up with the accounts. Like, oh, it's a lot, but go stream your Bottega.
Okay, all right. Brie, do you have one?
I do. This one, I was going through my TikTok because I keep meaning to say this one. It's called Bing Bong, and it's by this artist named Blackiana. I think is how you pronounce her name. Random TikTok artist that I found. Wanted to make sure she got some shine.
Love it.
So mine is Bing Bong by Blackiana.
Can't wait to listen to it. Now, this song, my rec this week, actually surprised me a bit because this is not an artist that I listen to even remotely, but Bia was featured on it. So Ogeezy, have you guys ever heard of Ogeezy?
I think so.
He's like one of those white rappers.
From the Bay, right?
From the Bay, and you can very much hear he's from the Bay. But it's called Geek a Leak. It samples Freak a Leak, and I really love Bia's verse on that song, and I think everybody should go and listen to it because she ate. But yeah. So thank you guys for listening to this crossover episode of Does It Hold Up / Where My Girls At. Happy Black Music Month. Make sure you are listening to the women in hip hop all month. Make sure you go and follow our shows on Instagram and you subscribe and follow us on Twitter and all that good stuff. And we'll see you guys in our next episode, respectively. Bye!
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Where My Girls At, brought to you by Textured Heir, a brand dedicated to celebrating Black girl culture, past, present, and future. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. It really helps. You can find us on Twitter at WhereMyGirlsAt2 and Instagram WhereMyGirlsAt_TH. Make sure you check out our other podcasts, Does It Hold Up, The Blacklist, and all the other content we offer on our website, texturedheir.com. Until next time.